Good morning. I am very honored to be here today. Thank you. At QAD, there are 300,000 reasons why we come to work, and it's about the users of our software. It's about you. And we're excited today to share with you the future of things. So there are 3 topics that I'd like to cover today. First, an overview of what we're seeing in the manufacturing economy and how that's impacting QAD in the service of you, our users. And then talk about the amazing change that we're seeing throughout the economy and particularly within manufacturing and how we're developing new software to be able to provide fit for you today and tomorrow. And then finally to talk about the change that we're seeing in the cloud. And I know the cloud is something that we all use in our personal lives, and from a business perspective, it's really started a new wave around the world. And as that wave moves through Asia Pacific, we wanted to provide you with some ideas on how to decide when and if cloud is the right move for you. So with that, let's get started and talk about some of the recent challenges that we've seen throughout the economy that has been affecting both QAD and our customers. So it's been an interesting 12 to 18 months. The price of oil and the radical change in oil has really created some shocks throughout the industry. So for some of our customers who supply to the oil industry, that's been a problem. For other customers that use oil as a raw material into the production of their goods, it's really been a boon for them. So we see this, and it creates uncertainty and churn within some of the industries in which we work. The strength of the US dollar, so that has certainly strengthened over the last year, and it's created opportunities for export into the US and put some headwinds on US manufacturing. We've also seen a slowdown in China. So certainly China is still growing incredibly fast. It actually seems to be stabilizing. But that slowdown in China, that massive economy of growth that we've seen over the last 2 decades, that change has been a little bit of a shock and an adjustment for manufacturing and the world economy. And then Brexit. So what happened in the United Kingdom and leaving the EU certainly set off a wave of shock waves that we continue to feel with the rise of nationalism and some of the incredible changes that we've seen geopolitically and in the United States with the new administration. And what does that mean in terms of imports and exports and tariffs? Well, we still don't know, but it's certainly something that we're watching. One of the metrics, one of the numbers that we look at very closely is the global PMI. So PMI is a measure of basically the manufacturing health around the world. And the way it works is basically any number above 50, so above the dotted line, indicates growth worldwide, and any number below 50 represents contraction. And as you can see, coming out of the recession in 2008, the manufacturing economy was hurt quite badly, but it's rebounded. And right now you can see that there's been a recent uptick. So we're at 52.9 globally. So that's certainly very important, and we're excited to be able to work with a vibrant manufacturing economy. But of course, what's more important than what's going on just globally is what's going on within Thailand. And we can see back in September that we were at 48.8. So manufacturing was actually getting slightly smaller in Thailand, and now we're back above 50 at 50.6. So we think that's a very good sign for Thailand, for Asia Pacific, and for the manufacturing economy worldwide. These are some numbers from internal with QAD to give you a sense of our health as a company and where we're headed. You can see from a revenue perspective, we've been fairly flat in our revenue. As a company, we're making a massive transition from selling on-premise software to selling cloud solutions. And that really is going to take some transition for us, and you can see in terms of our net income that our net income has dipped while that's occurred, but that's totally to be expected. And as the cloud grows and more people come to see the value in that, we know that that will come back up. But most importantly, the most valuable dollar that we can spend within QAD is in service of our customers, and that's money that we put into R&D, and that remains strong and actually growing. And later on throughout today, I'll talk a little bit about the new platform that we're developing, and Bill Keys will go into detail about the amazing advancements of Channel Islands that are really going to provide benefits to you as our users. I just mentioned that transition that we're making to the cloud, and it's very exciting for us, and we think it's very exciting for our customers. I'll talk more in detail about that, but you can see our cloud subscription revenue has grown considerably. We just ended our fiscal year, so now actually we're in fiscal year 18, but our fiscal year 17 saw almost 40% growth in cloud. So customers are adopting it and they're seeing the value. What's interesting about our cloud solution, although we really started in the United States, you can see that the majority of our users are actually outside of the US. We have less than 50% of our users in the United States. So from a company perspective, QAD, we have several strategies that we're following this year in support of you, our customers. So certainly we want to focus on continuous improvement internally and for you so that you can stay more competitive and grow. Digital transformation. So we all know the power of the internet and the power of digital systems, and really embracing those and moving more information into your systems and ultimately into the cloud to make better informed decisions. We want to partner with you to help you on that journey. We have great things to share with you regarding our user experience. The system that you're using today versus the system that Bill Keys is going to show you a little bit later this morning, the difference is incredible. We've made great strides in leveraging the latest technologies to provide you with a user experience that all can enjoy on any device, anywhere, and at any time. And then from a cloud perspective, we've shown you that amazing growth that we're seeing in cloud ERP, also in cloud EDI, and with our supplier portal, and we look forward to sharing that with you. So on to our next topic, and this is really mind-boggling change, and Stefan had a similar slide up this morning, but it's incredible the amount of change that's occurred. You know, it's interesting, when Stefan came up on stage, Guns N' Roses were playing. In talking with Stefan, I realized that I'm much older than Stefan. I'm 1 whole month older than him. So we had a very similar life experience as we grew up, and those songs remind me of high school, where I used to listen to Guns N' Roses, living in the United States, as he probably did, living in the Netherlands. But when I look at how my life has changed over those 25, 30 years, it's incredible. I am a very different person, and the world I live in is incredibly different. Well, in a similar fashion, the manufacturing economy and the economy in general has changed. And not only has it changed, but that pace of change is accelerating, and it's accelerating very quickly. So these are just a few of the technologies that we're tracking, and maybe I'll just point out 1 or 2 very quickly. So 3D printing, or additive manufacturing. In the United States, in the hearing aid industry, which assists people to be able to hear better as they lose their hearing, that industry started to adopt 3D printing. 500 days later, there were only 2 outcomes. Every manufacturer was either into 3D printing or they exited the industry. That's the sweeping change that one particular technology can have over an industry, and that's only one. Certainly the Internet of Things, drones, blockchain, amazing technologies that are on the verge of really changing the way that we live and the way that we manufacture. So in the face of all of this change, it really strikes me that some people are struggling with their ERP systems. Oftentimes, they're looking for a new solution to meet their needs because of that change. Now, implementing a new ERP system is a scary thing to do, and when we talk to prospects out there, we understand the challenges they face, and we want to try to help them, and we want to provide a software solution that prevents you from ever having to select another ERP system. Why? Because selecting an ERP system is scary. 60% of ERP implementations deliver less than 50% of the expected benefits. 21% of ERP implementations fail to go live. 55% are over budget. 75% take longer to implement than planned. These aren't good statistics, and it's important that somebody stands up here and provides a better way forward. So what do all of these failures have in common? Well, it's the approach that people take to selecting their ERP system. So 72% of people that are selecting an ERP system take a technical or feature-focused approach. So what they try to do is to translate their current business needs into the features that they want, create a checklist, and look for a vendor to be able to provide that. But the problem is, if you live in a world of constant change, looking at your current business needs and translating that into features and functions doesn't work. And what it does is it leads to what we call the death cycle of ERP. So as people start to select software that way, they get into a cycle that repeats every 6 to 9 years, where they never really achieve greatness, happiness, or a solution that meets their needs. How does it start? Well, it starts very rationally with an ERP selection project, where people select an ERP system, which makes sense based on their current business needs. But the problem is, as soon as they do that, there's a change in the environment. And when that environmental change happens, it requires manual processes or workarounds. And you might ask, well, why don't I just modify my ERP system to handle those new processes? That would be a great solution, but right now it's not as easy as it should be. It requires customization, and customization actually makes the system or the process more difficult because it creates a rigid ERP system, which makes change even harder. So what do companies do? They rationally decide to do manual processes or workarounds so they can keep their ERP system but meet the current needs. And then what happens? There's a gap between what they actually need and what their ERP provides. And then from there, we actually get errors, no single version of the truth. You can't go into your ERP system and find the information that you need. And then where does that leave us? Right back at the beginning with another ERP selection process. And this will go on indefinitely unless we can find a new way to break the cycle. And at QAD this spring, we're very focused on delivering a solution that can break this cycle. So there's a new way forward. So if you believe that change is the only constant and it's accelerating, meeting the needs of the current business environment are not sufficient. You can't simply select an ERP system that meets your needs today. What you need is an ERP vendor that supports a rapid response to change. And at QAD, we are laser focused on being able to deliver that. So how are we doing that? Well, we have 5 agile technologies that provide a rapid response to change that we're rolling out. Not all of these technologies are new, but together they provide this ability to rapidly respond to change and to minimize the gap between what you need and what your ERP provides. So what does this really mean? We play a different role, one that's focused on your business needs today and in the future, not just on the features and functionality you think that you want now. We're architected for change throughout all parts of our solutions. So certainly from a software perspective, and we'll go into detail about what that looks like, but also from a services perspective, where we have easy onboarding to provide prescriptive templated approach to bringing you up to speed as fast as possible, and then KPIs to be able to measure that fit and allow you to adjust over time. So we really have a very good solution for this, combined with our customer engagement process, where we try to meet with every customer every year to talk about their business challenges and then to overcome those in a timely fashion. And what does this all provide? It provides a unique, rapid response to change. But let's go into more detail. So first of all, you may know what the future will look like. You may not know what the future will look like, but you know it will look different. So you can't select an ERP system based on what you think you will need, but you can select an ERP system that can change based on what that future need might be. So let's talk about those 5 QAD rapid response technologies that I mentioned earlier. The first one, and this is available to you today, is personalization. So this is the ability for an individual user to modify a screen to meet the way that they work, so that they can hide fields or panels or move them around on the screen so they can be more efficient in the work that they do. The next one, and we're releasing this now in Channel Islands, and Bill will show you more of this, is embedded analytics. And this is huge. It's incredibly important. So when you think about the number one request from a user to IT, it's, can you create a new report for me? Can you modify that report for me? What does that do? That creates an enormous burden on IT, where IT could be doing other value-added activities. And it also provides a report that isn't as great as a report that could be created by the user themselves, because they know their needs better than anybody else. If there was a system available that could allow them to do that easily. And with world-class embedded analytics, we're providing that powerful ability to create and modify reports in a very easy fashion for the user to do. The next technology, which is part of Channel Islands, is modularization, and now we're taking that one step deeper into atomization. So as we work very hard in R&D and we come up with new software solutions to better meet your needs, you may find that some of those solutions offer benefits that you want to take. In the past, you would have to upgrade your whole system to get access to those benefits, and that's a lot of work. But now with modularization, you can just upgrade that individual module that you need. So for example, if it's new functionality in customer management or in finance, you can just upgrade customer management or finance. But now we're going one step lower. So beyond these business areas or these modules are individual applications or web services or business services, over 1,800 of them. So you can select these individual atoms that you want to upgrade when they provide the functionality that you need. So instead of seeing your ERP fit decline over time until you do a big bang upgrade, now you can do these very small micro continuous improvement upgrades to ensure that you're getting all the value that you can out of the system. The next two are brand new, and we're very, very excited to share these with you. The first one is extensibility. So you can take any one of these 1,800 applications and add functionality to that. So if we think about, for example, within customer management, the idea of a customer, and let's say there are additional fields or business logic that I want to add. Instead of having to write a whole application for that, I can simply add those fields using a very easy to use, what you see is what you get, graphical user interface. So, for example, I might want to add a field for my customers' fiscal year end so that I understand when their budget cycle is so that I can effectively sell to them. I could include that in there, and then I could add business logic to take certain action at certain times. And what happens when I do that? I don't need to write code. I can do that either through simple drag and drop or very light scripting and get all of that added benefit without having to rewrite the whole app. And then what happens as the underlying app gets upgraded? Well, no problem. That extension just floats on top of it so that it becomes upgrade friendly. It doesn't slow you down. And the last, and this is the most exciting, is the ability to create your own apps. So we're delivering a QAD enterprise platform where you can create your own applications within the system and leverage all of the benefits of the system. So, for example, let's say that you wanted to track leads, so new opportunities in the very early stages. You could very easily create a new application within the platform to do that. And again, in a very upgrade-friendly manner. So we think that this is really a game changer. It provides you with the ability to close the gap, to get the fit that you need, and to maintain that fit in the future because the system remains flexible. It doesn't become rigid. Not only can you create these applications, but our partners can too. So you'll see our partners being more able to provide greater value to you more quickly. So how do we do this? Let me share with you a little bit of the technology behind this. So this diagram here is a picture of our new QAD enterprise platform. And at its core, it's made up of three areas. The first area is platform services. So when you write an application or you extend an application within the QAD platform, you're able to leverage all of these services that are available. So the web user interface is available to you. Once you create that application, all of a sudden analytics emerge and become available without you having to create analytics yourself. You get browses. Once you develop it, it's available both on the desktop and mobile without any additional work. It seamlessly fits into our activity feeds, it utilizes attachments, and it's just as secure as any other part of the application because it leverages the application security model. The next area to talk about is platform management. So this isn't simply an area where you can put an application, but we provide a complete environment for being able to develop and deploy those applications, to be able to monitor those applications, and to be able to move them from one instance to another. That includes a cloud web IDE so that you can develop in there, you can keep your documentation all within one place. So we're there to support you in your efforts to develop these extensions or applications. And then the third area that we have is platform infrastructure. So we don't want you as users to have to worry about where this application is going to run, on what hardware, on what operating system, in what cloud. All of that gets hidden from you, and we create a layer that allows us to be able to manage that. So rest assured, if you create an application, it doesn't matter whether it's deployed in the Google Cloud or the Amazon Cloud or elsewhere, we can manage that for you without any intervention from you. So that was the foundation of this. The real value of the QAD Enterprise platform and why it's superior to any other platform as a service that you see out there comes from the idea of base data. So there's no application that you have within your company that has more important data than your ERP system. So when you build an application or extend an application on the QAD Enterprise platform, you automatically get access to all of that base data without having to create costly and risky integrations that you need to maintain over time. You simply access that data directly. And of course, not only does that application get the value of it, but that data then becomes available to any other applications that you have on the platform. So that includes master data, customer, supplier, and items, just to name a few. And then as we continue to head out and look at some of the applications that we have out there, so examples of applications could include sales, service, logistics, and even within those things like sales orders. And then these are grouped together into business areas or things that you might think of more traditionally as modules: customer management, finance, manufacturing, supply chain. And so what do we do with extensibility? You take that one little application and you talk about the type of extensions or the added functionality that you want to add, and you just focus on that added functionality. You don't rewrite the whole app. You just write that little piece that you need, and you do that through a scripting language, again, not hard-coded. And then we also have the concept of homegrown and partner apps, and this is really fantastic. And you might be thinking, well, this sounds good, but I don't want to have to rewrite all my homegrown apps just to get onto the platform, and you don't have to, because we have an app maturity model. So basically, we can take your existing apps and put them in a wrapper and move them up to the platform if you want to take advantage of the platform right away. Does that give you access to everything immediately? It doesn't. So you're leaving some things on the table, particularly around platform services and around, for example, embedded analytics and mobile, but you can get there quickly. And then once you're up there, you can start to rewrite that as needed to take advantage of some of these other pieces of functionality. And of course, if you're thinking about adding functionality from scratch, starting now, this is a fantastic place to be able to do that. Okay, so we just talked about how QAD is delivering a new QAD Enterprise platform to make change your friend, something that you can turn into a competitive advantage for your company. But let's talk a little bit about the cloud. So certainly I understand that cloud adoption, the use of cloud for ERP software, is radically different across the world. And when we look at how that has changed, we can see that the overall ERP market is growing fairly slowly. Cloud ERP is growing almost twice as fast. So the ERP software market is growing at about 6%, cloud ERP at about 13 or 14%. And when you look at our success, QAD's success in the cloud, again at just around 40%, we're 2 to 3 times growing as fast as cloud ERP, 6 times faster than the market. So we're very excited about the solution that we're giving because we believe it still provides our customers with an enormous amount of control. So when we look at customers and manufacturers that are thinking about adopting the cloud, we realize that moving your ERP system into the cloud is a difficult decision, and it's one that you want to take seriously. Oftentimes, people move other applications into the cloud before they choose to move their ERP system. And what we see is that of manufacturers, they already have, 66% of manufacturers already have 2 or more applications that they're running in the cloud. So the excitement, the belief in the cloud is growing, and what's next on the horizon? Considering moving your ERP system to the cloud. And in 2015, we crossed the threshold, which you can see depicted on the slide, and now in 2016, people are more willing to consider the cloud as a deployment option for ERP systems than they are on-premise. So more people want to move to the cloud than want to remain on-premise. And we believe this will only accelerate as we move forward. The question really isn't if most people will be in the cloud, but when and how fast. But we don't just offer the cloud, we offer on-premise. We want to provide you with the choice to make the decision that's right for you. But to be honest, when we first started talking about the cloud, we didn't do a good job of really demonstrating the value of the cloud. And I want to try and clear that up right now. So sometimes we would talk about cloud versus on-premise as a simple decision. I'd like to say that it's much more than that it's a strategic choice that goes to the heart of what it means to run your company. So let's talk about our vision as a company for our customers. So at QAD, we believe in the effective enterprise, where every business process is running at peak efficiency and perfectly aligned to your company's strategic goals. That's what we really want, an ERP system that doesn't stand in your way, that doesn't slow you down, but helps you to achieve your vision for your company. So when we think about it, is there some way that we could help you to get there faster, and could that possibly involve the cloud? And I think it can. I think you can hack your way to the effective enterprise by leveraging the cloud. So if we're going to solve this problem, let's think about first principles. So what is the enterprise? And the enterprise is really those activities that you choose to do within the four walls of your company. And sometimes we think that, well, we do what we do, and maybe that's true today, but over time we get to choose those activities that we decide to do in-house or move outside. And when you look at business strategy and why you should, or how you make this decision, it really comes down to two things. Is the item that you're considering moving to the cloud or keeping internal, is it a core competency? Is it something that you do better than anybody else? Is it something that's so unique and special that if you gave it to somebody else to do, they would learn your secret and you would lose a competitive advantage? That's number one. And then the second, is it strategic? Is this so core to your business that you absolutely need to do this? So let's talk about, is ERP your core competency? And just take a second and think and reflect about your company and your company's mission and your goals. If somebody was to come up to you and introduce themselves and ask what your company does, would you ever say anything about ERP? I'm guessing probably not. And if not, it's likely that ERP is not your core competency. It's not what you do in your business better than anything else. And then let's move on to the next part here. So is ERP strategic? Is this something that you uniquely do that you can't let somebody else do? Because if you do, they'll understand your secrets and be able to do it better than you did, whatever that product is that you're creating. And I would argue that when you think about managing an ERP system, there are pieces that are tactical and there are pieces that are strategic. The tactical pieces are infrastructure management and application management. So that's simply running the systems. And then there are very strategic parts, and in particular, performance improvement, and that's where we get all the value out of the ERP system. Because at the end of the day, the ERP system there is just there to support your best practice business processes. It's the business processes where you get the real value. And then, of course, the technology roadmap. So what's next and where are you going? And when you look at ERP and you break it into its parts, there's two pieces that map out pretty well. There's basically ERP administration, which is more tactical, and then ERP design, which is more strategic. And you don't want to give up ERP design. You want to very much be in control and partner with a vendor like QAD to talk about the future and your business processes and what you need in your business. That's critical. And you can do that through partnership. And you can do that through partnership whether you're in the cloud or on-premise. But if you look where you're spending the majority of your IT time right now, it's likely not in ERP design or process improvement, but it's in ERP administration. So what if we could free up some of that time? What if we could take the IT resources that are spent on tactical areas and move them to areas where there were greater business value? And we believe that you can do that. And you can do that by leveraging the QAD cloud. What is our core competency? Well, one of our core competencies is administering your ERP system. We wrote the code. We understand it. We have hundreds of customers in the cloud, over 20,000 users. We know how to run these systems better than anybody else. Let us do that. We can do it better than you likely can on-premise. And at the same time, free up your resources to really focus on those business processes that you want to improve. So what does this look like, and why is this important? Well, as part of our customer engagement, we work to meet with each of our customers every year. And in doing that, we talk about their business challenges and potential projects that they could embark on that could help them to find greater business value. And in many of those meetings, it's very exciting. And we get excited, and the customer gets excited, and there are fantastic alternatives or projects that are listed out. Oftentimes a number, and here you can see 5 projects that came up. And then we need to do a reality check. So we say, okay, well, based on the amount of free resources you have within your company, which of these projects do you think that you can take on over the next 1 to 2 years? And what happens? Well, somebody from the customer comes up and they draw a red line based on the prioritization and what they're going to be able to achieve. And here we can see 5 projects that they identified as having real value to the company, but only having the resources to tackle one. But what happens if you move to the cloud? All of a sudden, you've freed up those IT resources to assist in some of these business process projects, and then because of the cloud now, you're able to unlock real value. And how did you get that value? You got that value by moving to the cloud and freeing up your resources to do something strategic. So at the end of the day, we really believe that the choice between on-premise and cloud is yours to make, but it's not simply a deployment choice. It's a strategic decision, one that goes to the heart of what your business does and allows you to focus on what's most important in your business, which is your products and your customers, and it accelerates your path to the effective enterprise and minimizes that gap between your requirements and what your ERP system does. So with that, well, what about on-premise? I know most of you are on-premise, and I just came up here and talked to you about something that you don't have. Well, the amazing thing about QAD and the way that we deploy cloud is even if you're on-premise, our work in the cloud has huge benefits for you. And let me just talk briefly about why that is. The software that we deploy in the cloud is exactly the same as the software that you get on-premise. We do different tasks in the cloud, and we take on more of the responsibility, but the core software is the same. It's the great software that you're using now. It's no compromise cloud. You don't give up any software functionality by moving there. But what happened to us as we started to bring our customers into the cloud is we had a scale problem. So all of a sudden, we had over 20,000 users that we had to administer in the cloud. We had over 200 customers, now really over 1,000 environments and over 610 servers. That is a big problem that you need to solve. And you don't solve it by simply throwing more people at the problem. You solve it by finding out the root causes that are preventing you from scaling. And so when you think about having an instance of QAD Enterprise applications on-premise, you don't have many data points to look at. So when an issue arises, you only have one data point. Is that an anomaly? What does it mean? But when you have as many customers as we have in the cloud, that one data point turns into a cluster. And we can understand very directly what's impacting performance, what's impacting scalability, and we have the resources to invest in understanding the root causes behind that and solving them. And we do. And when we solve those problems, it doesn't just go into the cloud because it's the same software, it's the same support personnel, it provides benefits to you on-premise. So what kind of benefits are these? Certainly security. Security is critical in the cloud, and we truly believe we are providing much better security than most of our customers can on-premise because we can invest more than they can in making sure that security is robust. And because the cloud now is our core business, security is a requirement. If we can't provide the best security out there, we can't stay in business. So we take it very seriously and we invest in it. When we're in the cloud, we will upgrade you for free. So no more paying for upgrades. We simply move you up to the next version. And so we needed to make that as easy as possible to allow for it to happen. And that's where some of the modularization and the reduction of customizations through the utilization of the QAD enterprise platform, that's where that whole concept emerged. And those are some benefits that you can get on-premise, particularly around the modularity of upgrades. Compliance becomes very important, so we build that into the software. Administration has to be easy, so we do everything we can to reduce the burden of administration. So you'll actually find that if you're running on-premise, it's becoming easier to run on-premise with our latest releases. It needs to be absolutely stable, and the performance needs to be outstanding. And so we are analyzing that, building it into the software so we can deliver a better cloud, and in the process, you're getting a better on-premise solution. You're getting a better solution that has better software. Because our support people are involved in the process, they're learning more and are able to provide better support, and we develop better tools to be able to diagnose issues and deliver a better system. So at the end of the day, it's really up to you. Your choice, cloud or on-premise. So with that, again, thank you very much for having me here today, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you have.